On September 8, 1900, the thriving city of Galveston, Texas, awoke to what seemed like an ordinary stormy morning. By the end of the day, it would become the site of the deadliest natural disaster in American history. At the turn of the 20th century, Galveston was one of the wealthiest and most important cities in Texas. Located on a barrier island along the Gulf Coast, it was a major center for trade, shipping, and business. Beautiful homes lined the streets, and many residents believed their city had a bright future. But beneath the calm confidence of the city, danger was approaching. Far out in the Atlantic Ocean, a powerful tropical storm had formed days earlier. As it moved westward through the Caribbean and into the Gulf of Mexico, it grew stronger. Weather forecasting in 1900 was far less advanced than it is today. Meteorologists had limited information, and many residents of Galveston had little warning of what was coming. On the morning of September 8, strong winds began to sweep across the island. The sea appeared unusually high, and waves crashed against the shoreline with increasing force. Some residents grew concerned, but many had experienced storms before and chose to stay in their homes. As the day progressed, conditions rapidly worsened. The winds intensified to more than 130 miles per hour. Rain fell relentlessly, and the Gulf of Mexico began pushing enormous amounts of water toward the island. The storm surge rose higher and higher, swallowing streets, buildings, and entire neighborhoods. By afternoon, Galveston was fighting for survival. Families crowded into homes, hoping the walls would protect them. Business owners boarded windows. Children clung to their parents as the roar of the hurricane grew louder. Outside, the city was disappearing beneath wind and water. Then came the full force of the storm. Powerful waves smashed houses from their foundations. Buildings collided with one another as floodwaters carried them through the streets like floating debris. Telephone poles snapped. Trees were ripped from the ground. Entire blocks vanished beneath the raging water. Many residents sought shelter in sturdy buildings, believing they would be safe. But even some of the strongest structures could not withstand the hurricane's fury. Throughout the night, people fought desperately to survive. Some climbed into attics as water filled their homes. Others clung to pieces of wreckage in the darkness. The sound of howling winds mixed with crashing waves and collapsing buildings. For many, there was no escape. When the hurricane finally moved away, the devastation was almost impossible to comprehend. As daylight returned, survivors emerged to a scene of unimaginable destruction. Much of the city had been flattened. Streets were buried beneath mountains of debris. Homes, businesses, churches, and schools had been destroyed. Thousands of people were missing. The official death toll has never been known with certainty, but historians estimate that between 6,000 and 12,000 people lost their lives. Most modern estimates place the number around 8,000 victims. In a city whose population was only about 38,000, the loss was staggering. Rescue efforts began immediately. Survivors searched through wreckage for family members and friends. Relief workers arrived with food, water, and medical supplies. The task was overwhelming. One of the greatest challenges was dealing with the enormous number of victims. Temporary burial efforts quickly proved impossible. Eventually, many bodies were taken out to sea. Tragically, currents often returned them to shore, forcing workers to find other solutions. Yet amid the tragedy, stories of courage emerged. Neighbors risked their lives to save strangers. Families shared what little food remained. Rescue teams worked tirelessly despite exhaustion and grief. The people of Galveston refused to abandon their city. In the years that followed, residents undertook one of the most ambitious rebuilding projects in American history. Engineers constructed a massive seawall to help protect the city from future hurricanes. Entire sections of Galveston were raised several feet higher using millions of cubic yards of sand. The city rebuilt itself from the ruins. Today, more than a century later, the Galveston Hurricane of 1900 remains the deadliest natural disaster in United States history. It serves as a powerful reminder of nature's immense force and the importance of disaster preparedness. The storm lasted only a short time, but its impact changed countless lives forever. On that September day, an entire city faced one of the most devastating hurricanes ever recorded. Homes vanished. Families were separated. Thousands perished. Yet from the wreckage rose a story not only of tragedy, but also of resilience, courage, and determination. The people of Galveston endured the deadliest day in American history, and ensured that it would never be forgotten.